I'll call the meeting to order. Everybody to rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You guys go ahead and sit. I'll wait and see if the other comes in, and then I'll go ahead and do my introduction while we're waiting for that. So for the respondents who are present, my name is Drew Smith. I'm the Code Enforcement Special Magistrate for the city. I'm not an employee of the city. I'm an independent lawyer. My role in these proceedings is to hear the evidence and facts that's presented to me, and based on that testimony and based on that evidence, to render a ruling on the case. The order that each case will proceed today is the city will present its testimony and evidence, usually done through the code enforcement officer. When the code enforcement officer is done, if a respondent has questions for the code enforcement officer, you are welcome to ask any questions you may have. If you don't have any questions, we usually proceed right into the opportunity for the respondent to present to me anything you'd like for me to hear. If you have any evidence to present, you can present that evidence. If you are going to present evidence, though, just so you know, I have to keep that. The clerk will keep that. So we have to keep that public record for the city's file. So anything that you hand to me up here, it needs to be a copy that we can keep because you will not get it back. Any questions? All right, so I'll go ahead and swear in. Nobody else came in. If everybody who's going to present any testimony to me today would stand just where you are and raise your right hand. Do you swear from the testimony you give today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. And I think the city is going to request to take some cases out of order, but we have one case that's here for a request for reduction of lien under $50,000. I've already reviewed the agreement with between the city manager and the respondent as to that. Since that will be brief, I'm going to ask to take that first. And that case number is 2020-1809, Great House Pros. Location of violation is 500 Wisconsin Avenue, St. Cloud, Florida.
And the Great House representative is here.
Yes, sir. Do I say anything?
If you would just tell me what you'd like me to tell me what you've done and where you're going.
Good. So we did get the violation cleared up the last time I met with you. We were able to get the permit issued, and I did meet with Claudia. We corresponded over phone and got into negotiation. I think an agreement settlement was reached for $2,500 and change, which I have signed. And if the magistrate would bind and seal that, I'm good with it.
Okay. Anything from code enforcement on this one?
No, he's good.
Okay. Based on that and based on the agreement with the city manager, I will enter an order approving the agreed amount of $2,575.35. That amount is to be paid within 90 days of approval.
All right.
And just remember that if it's not paid within that time, that it will revert back to the old amount. So it's important to get that paid.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, Jack Morrison for the city. I've talked with the respondents and attendants here on the agenda that are listed ahead of the Canopy Walk matters, which are cases 2021, 991, 993, 994, and 995, and those that are in attendance have agreed to subordinate to these cases being called first. And then I can report to you on the Home Depot matter, which is listed first, but we can take those first. Ms. Dunklin is here to be sworn as well, as she's a representative for the city, and then the city can proceed with those cases.
Okay. So who's being sworn? Go ahead and do it now so I don't forget. Do you raise your right hand? Do you both swear or affirm the testimony you give today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Case number 2021-991, Canopy Walk HOA, Inc., owner, location of violation, Canopy Walk Track N, landscape buffer, St. Cloud, Florida.
Are you consolidating these for hearing purposes?
Yeah, these are four separate tracks.
But you are going to present the evidence for 2021, 991, 993, 994, and 995 together?
Yes.
Okay. So just so that the public is aware that all four of those cases are now being discussed.
Good afternoon, Melissa Howes, Code Enforcement Officer for the City of St. Cloud. The PowerPoint and everything is all the same in each of the packets. Everything is exactly the same except for the notices in each of the packages will have the different parcel number on them. At this time, I would like to enter into evidence the following items. Copy of the notice of violation sent by certified mail. Copy of the statement of violation and notice of hearing sent by certified mail, posted on the property in City Hall. A copy of the PowerPoint presentation, affidavit of posting, evidence of mailings, the code sections in violation of, a copy of the certificate of completion for the site plan, a copy of the recorded plat dedicating the tracks to the homeowners association, and a copy of the cost incurred if the magistrate finds the respondent in violation in the amount of $249.80, and that is for all four, a total, the $249.80. On May 5th, 2021, I was forwarded several emails on the Canopy Walk subdivision referencing the required landscaping installation of Sweet by Burnham hedges on the PUD final master plan for tracks N, O, P, and Q. The emails included a complaint from a homeowner on Puffin Road that abuts the Canopy Walk subdivision, that the hedges are not there and that they were required to be there and maintained. On May the 3rd, Andre Anderson, former Community Development Director, emailed the city manager a chronology of events since their last communications on February 17, 2021 regarding this violation. This included a meeting on March 22nd that Andre Anderson, Melissa Dunklin, and two representatives from the developer's office, D.R. Horton, and they met to discuss a resolution to this violation. On April 27th, they all met on site at the subdivision, and it was explained from the developer's office that they did in fact install the Sweet by Burnham hedges and the drip irrigation system as specified in the PUD final master plan, and that the HOA failed to maintain the landscaping. At some point, the hedges were removed. There were photos in the email showing the remnants of the drip irrigation system that had been damaged from mowing activities. Andre Anderson confirmed the evidence of the drip irrigation system. He also noted that some of the homeowners installed a fence on their own private property. The developer agreed to replace all the Sweet by Burnham hedges and reinstall the drip irrigation system subject to Canopy Walk HOA's acceptance and to incur the cost involved. I put up a map just to show you where the actual landscape buffers are. There's 4 tracks, obviously, N, O, P, and Q. The only thing in those areas right now are some oak trees. They're not even consistent as far as how far apart they are. Andre stated at that point that he would contact the HOA and discuss and determine whether or not the HOA will accept the proposed solution being offered from the developer, D.R. Horton. On May the 6th, I was advised to start code enforcement actions. That same day, I went out to the site myself and verified that there were no hedges on tracks N, O, P, or Q, and 8 photos were taken showing all 4 tracks. So this is from the very end of the subdivision, looking towards 192, and you can see the oak trees there, but no hedges. It's just a little closer up. That's the other side on there. This is on the rear side that abuts Puffin Road where the complainant came in. And that's the other side, the other tract. On May 6th, I sent out notice of violations to the owner of record and the registered agent by certified mail to correct the violations of not maintaining the required landscaping and irrigation on the approved PUD final master plan within 60 calendar days. Both certified mailings were signed for on May 10th, 2021. On June 7th, I sent out a copy of the master development plan showing where the landscape buffers were supposed to be located on tracks N, O, P, and Q to Arion Rivera, which is from Community Association Management with Leland Management. On July 12th, a reinspection was performed and nothing had been completed on replacing the landscaping. I took 6 photos while I was there. On July 15th, I emailed Arian and explained that I performed a reinspection and nothing was replaced. I asked if there were any updates on a time for completion. On July 19th, Arian responded stating that they had a situation with the irrigation system in a lot of the zones that I had mentioned in my notice. She stated, I think it's a she, is it a she? Yes, I'm sorry. She stated the landscaping crew provided her with a final bid to comply with my notice. She asked if it would be possible to get an extension on the time. On July 20th, I emailed Arian back stating I had given 60 calendar days already and that I would be scheduling this to the, presented this to the special magistrate on August the 18th. This would give them an additional 30 days to comply before my presentation, and I would also give additional time to comply before any fines would be assessed. I stressed that our main objective was to get the violations into compliance. On July 20th, I sent out a statement of violation and notice of hearing to the owner of record and the registered agent. I posted the property and City Hall, did an affidavit of posting, and took 2 photos, one of the posting and one showing the first tract. On July 23rd, Terry Sparkman received an email from Arian stating the developer never installed the required landscaping prior to the community turnover. In addition, after receiving the final bids for both items, the community simply does not have the funds to properly fund the project. Lastly, asked if there was any way to get an extension. On July 27th, Arian came into the office and Supervisor Terry Sparkman provided her with the developer's information. On August 16th, a reinspection was performed and the violations have not been corrected. 4 photos were taken, 1 from each tract. It is the city's recommendation that the respondent be found in violation of not maintaining or removing the required landscaping and irrigation from the original site plan approval by the time specified. Would like to give the respondent until November 1st, 2021 to correct these violations or pay a fine in the amount of $100 a day until compliance is met. The city would also request that the cost incurred in bringing this case before the magistrate in the amount of $249.80 be paid within 7 days of the written order by the special magistrate, and that is for all 4 tracts. I sent all my notifications in the same envelopes, so they were the same cost. Total sum. Yeah. And that concludes my presentation.
Okay. I don't have any questions for code enforcement this time. Respondent?
Good afternoon. I'm Rachel Pringle. I am the attorney representative for the HOA. First off, the association doesn't want to be out of compliance. There was never any intentional violation of the code. And we understand what was required in the final plat, the dedication of the parcels as landscape buffers. The association does contend that while there may have been some drip irrigation and evidence on one of the parcels, that the developer did not actually install everything as required on each of the 4 parcels. Whether or not that can be provided in evidence, we can provide that as needed with code enforcement.
On that issue, I don't know that that is really a city issue at this point.
Understood.
If the HOA has been turned over, it's now
Understood.
the HOA's problem.
Absolutely understood.
If you have a private right of action, you'll have to pursue that through the
And I
courts.
say all of that in preface to, at one point, as was mentioned, the city was discussing an agreement between the association and the developer to cure all of these violations. Nothing came of that. However, the association is still attempting to get in contact with D.R. Horton to try and resolve that issue to some extent, because as you may or may not know, installing irrigation along tracts that big can get very expensive, and the association does not necessarily have those funds immediately in reserve to come into compliance. Therefore, if the association cannot reach an agreement with D.R. Horton and is required to come into compliance all on their own, they must go through a process, especially assessing the members, which takes time before they can actually start any work. However, the association has been in contact with their landscaping company. They have gotten estimates for the cost of full compliance. Hopefully, we can get something from D.R. Horton. However, we would request that instead of an automatic fine being issued at the date requested by the city, that we maybe schedule it for another hearing to determine whether or not additional steps have been taken towards coming into compliance. Additionally, the association would request that the $242.80 be postponed as well.
You got me on one.
All right.
On the cost, it is cost incurred by the city. And it's cost incurred by the city in prosecution. And as I've told many respondents here, unless there is a hardship that you cannot pay it right now, it's going to be paid eventually. And unless you can present to me evidence of a dire hardship that the HOA really can't pay that right now, I'm going to order, if you want more than 7 days, I'm a little bit flexible, but I'm not going to continue that out. I am persuaded with everything going on with this. So it sounds like you can live with the November date that's been proposed by the city, subject to me saying I'm not going to start fines automatically.
Correct. We will do as much as we possibly can before November. We cannot guarantee that we can get an appropriate membership vote to approve everything and the work completed by that date.
Understood. Early in my career, I did quite a bit of HOA work, so I completely understand that side of it. And
Thank you.
because of that, I am persuaded by the request that basically we have the pre-fine Massey hearing is how we've done in a couple other cases. Anything from the city on that to that?
Just for clarification, the finding would be non-compliance of recovery of the costs, and in lieu of the 60-day request from the city that the magistrate wants to defer.
So let me get to my order then. I am finding in favor of the city, finding the evidence testimony supports the finding of violation on all 4 cases. We'll order that the cost in the amount of, that's not it.
242.
Yeah. 242.80 be paid. I'll give the association 30 days to make that
30 days.
payment.
Thank you.
Um,
No, you're fine.
Order the respondent cure the violations by November 1, 2021. So I am ordering cure by November 1,
Thank you. That's
2021. But that any fines imposed will only be imposed after a Massey hearing, a pre-imposition Massey hearing.
In
That's
terms of
what
the
I was
amount,
trying to
understood. We were just seeking a confirmation of a date certain for.
Correct. So if November 1 passes and they've made progress but aren't in compliance, if you want to set it for a status hearing, that's fine. If you think they haven't in good faith proceeded and you want to ask me to impose fines, I will consider that too. I'll leave that to the city and the respondent to discuss on how you want to present it to me if they're not in full compliance by November 1. But I just making the point that I will hear from them before I impose any fines.
Okay, the city will make a note of it and present as appropriate.
But so that you understand, that does not, if we come back after November 1 and association hasn't done anything, they haven't, whether it's out there in the tracks or procedurally to move forward, I can, those fines start running, I can impose everything back to November 2nd.
Understood.
Okay. Not saying I would.
Right.
I would hear the evidence and make a just
Understood.
decision, but it doesn't mean that that there's not any fines until I say fines start running now. I could go back to November 2nd if I see bad faith.
I believe that the association will work diligently to get this
I'm sure they
figured
will.
out.
I'm sure they will.
Do you need anything additional from me?
I do not at this time.
Thank you very much for hearing us.
Thank you.
First item would be, first item, yes.
Case number 2021-351, Home Depot USA, owner repeat violation, location of violation, 4560 13th Street, St. Cloud, Florida.
Jack Morrison for the city. This continues to be a joint effort by the respondent, Home Depot. We're working with counsel for Home Depot, who's working with an ancillary property or contiguous property to address their issue. Progress has been made to the city's satisfaction to the degree that we would request the matter be rolled over to the September hearings.
Okay, no problem for me.
address at that time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Case number 2021-603, Fernando Homes, PA, owner, location of violation, 492 Ponderosa Drive, St. Cloud, Florida.
Melissa Howes again with the City of St. Cloud Code Enforcement. This case will be scheduled for next month's meeting as well, due to a clerical error on my part. So they are already reserviced for next month, renoticed.
Case number 2021-640, Benjamin Estates HOA, Inc., owner, location of violation, Benjamin Estates, Tract B and C, Conservation and Buffer, St. Cloud, Florida.
It's still me up here. I don't know how many times I'm going to say my name, so I'm just going to. Okay, at this time, I would like to enter into evidence the following items: a copy of the notice of violation sent by regular mail, a copy of the notice of violation sent by certified mail, copy of the notice of violations posted on the property and City Hall, copy of the statement of violation and notice of hearing sent by certified mail, posted on the property and City Hall, copy of the PowerPoint presentation, affidavit of postings, evidence of mailings, the code section in violation of, a copy of the recorded plat dedicating the tracts to the homeowners association, and a copy of the cost incurred if the magistrate finds the respondent in violation in the amount of $249.80. And the respondent is here from the management company and has been provided copies. On March 4th, 2021, I was asked by Don Callahan from the City Engineering Department to meet him on site at this location. He explained to me that there was supposed to be a drainage swale that ran between tracks B and C that had been modified by filling in the swale from the original site plan approval. I am going to put up a map to help explain where this is located for the record. The swale was to help the drainage flow from Tract A, which is a stormwater pond located north of the swale, and drain south when there is an abundant amount of rainfall. So at the bottom of the map, you will see the double arrow ended. That is where the swale is supposed to be. And B and C kind of, let me go one more to show you. That's from the property appraisers. So tract C is like half of it, and the other half is on B up at the top one. So you got, it's going to run between both of those tracks onto 19th Street. But I'm going to go back here so you can see that portion. There's a new subdivision going in to the north of Tract A that will be affected by the swale being modified and not draining properly. On March 16th, I sent out notice of violations to the owner of record and the registered agent to correct this violation by reconstructing the swale to match the original approved site plan within 15 working days. On March 29th, Don Callahan met with Jennifer Conklin from Highland Community Management at the violation site. Don explained what was required to correct this violation. He also advised Jennifer that a permit would need to be obtained through the South Florida Water Management District. He told her that he could get her the contact name and number from the original permit and that she could contact him herself. Jennifer asked for an extension on the time frame due to her needing to get quotes for this work. I advised her that as long as she was actively working on this, I had no problem extending the time, so I extended it until I returned from vacation at the beginning of May. On April 15th, while I was on vacation, Supervisor Sparkman received an email from Jennifer that she was still receiving quotes for repairing the swale and was trying to get this resolved. On April 19th, Don Callahan received a proposal from Jennifer wanting to know if the proposal was acceptable and if the work could begin. Don responded that same day stating if the pipe being proposed was to be placed under the sidewalk, which was located in the city right-of-way, it would be required to have a 15 RCP pipe. It would also require a right-of-way permit from the city, which he included the application in the email for her to fill out to be processed, and Don stated that it could be processed at a no-fee charge. On May the 10th, I emailed Don to see if there were any updates for me while I was on vacation. He replied no, he had not heard anything, and no work had been completed. On May 13th, I emailed Jennifer letting her know that we were reaching the rainy season and needed this work to be completed as soon as possible. She replied stating the work should start the week of May 17th. On May 25th, Don called me to say nothing had been completed and I needed to move forward with the case. I sent out notice of violations by certified mail to the owner of record and the registered agent to correct the violation within 15 working days. On June 24th, a reinspection was performed and the work was not completed, so I posted the property in City Hall with a notice of violations. I did an affidavit of posting and I took 7 photographs. So the swale, somebody had started something there. I don't know who did it. I don't know if Jennifer has the answer to that, but somebody had started to just tear the sod up. That's where it is supposed to run through that all the way to the sidewalk, which runs right there where my sign is. And if they were going to put the pipe in, it was supposed to go under that sidewalk into the drainage on 19th Street. On July 19th, a reinspection was performed and compliance had not been met. 8 photos were taken. On July 20th, I sent out a statement of violation and noticed a hearing by certified mail to the owner of record and registered agent. I posted the property and City Hall. I did an affidavit of posting, and I took a photo of the posting, which is up there. On August the 4th, Don Callahan sent an email to myself, Jennifer Conklin, John Carter, and Denise Abercrombie, advising that with all the recent rain, the water was about to go over the banks in the new, I don't know if he meant the new subdivision or if he meant the banks where these homes are. I replied by all to the email stating that hopefully someone was going to act quickly on the issue. I let them know that I had already posted the property and scheduled this violation to be presented to the special magistrate on August 18th at 3 p.m. and to please resolve the violation to prevent further complications with the drainage. Jennifer replied that stating that the vendor who is working on the project should have it completed by August the 1st. She will reach out to the vendor for an update. On August 16th, a reinspection was performed and the violation had not been corrected. 2 photos were taken. Before I read my recommendation, I will let you know Don is not here today. I do have Keith LaFontaine, who has been working with Don, who can represent the city from the engineering department if need be. I do know, and he does have photos if we need them, that there is a vendor out there. He has started the work. So hopefully we're going to get this resolved quickly. It is the city's recommendation that the respondent be found in violation of modifying a required drainage swale from the original approved site plan by the time specified at this location. I would like to give the respondent until September the 1st, 2021 to correct this violation, or a fine in the amount of $100 a day be assessed until compliance is met. The city would also request the costs incurred in bringing this case before the magistrate in the amount of $249.80 be paid within 7 days of the written order by the special magistrate. And that concludes my presentation. Again, Keith is here and Jennifer Conklin is here.
Okay. No further questions for code enforcement at this time. I'll hear from the respondent.
Hi, good afternoon. Is it easier to hear me if I take the mask
Your
off?
preference, I can hear you fine.
Okay,
But
perfect.
you're welcome to if you're more comfortable.
Not a problem. So I am Jennifer Conklin. I am the community manager, actually, for Highland Community Management. We've been managing this community since its inception. It was built originally with Highland Homes. I have been with the company now about 4 years, and we have not touched this swale. The only thing we have done is the regular mowing maintenance on it, of course, so there was no overgrowth. We were not made aware that there was any kind of issue until we were notified in March. As soon as we were notified, we met with Don. By April, we had secured a quote. We had sent that over to him to confirm that this would complete the work. And our vendor was still having some questions, tried to set up a couple meetings with Don, which all of those had been canceled for, unfortunately, I'm not sure. I was not a part of those meetings. That was with the vendor. And so we've been working diligently trying to get it into compliance without our knowledge at all. They eventually did have a meeting yesterday with Don and Keith to discuss the work and the required changes, which we are all in compliance. We are willing to do it. I unfortunately got this email today, and I hadn't been able to print it out to present to you, but it was an email from our vendor where it states that a comment was made to Chris, who is the project manager from our vendor, showing and signed off that the swale completed 10 years ago was actually signed off by Don Callahan, and again, it has not been touched since that approval had been sent. So we're just requesting, I've got confirmation from our vendor, it will be done by August 23rd at the latest. I will continue to work with code enforcement. If we do have to take on the $242, if we could get maybe, or $249, I apologize, a 30-day extension, just because through an HOA, I do have to get a check request, and I can't get that done in 7 days, unfortunately.
Okay. Anything else?
No?
Okay. Based on the evidence testimony, then I find that there was a violation, is a violation. The respondent sounds to be in the process of curing it, but it is still a violation on the property. The city has requested September 1, 2021. Your contractor, so 28th, was that their expected
They
completion date?
confirmed the 23rd. I
The
told them it
23rd.
had to be done no later than the 31st to make sure we
Okay.
were, and they will be sending me pictures of the completion, and we'll be emailing our code enforcement as they have been.
Okay. Then I will order the violation be cured by September 1, 2021. If not cured by that time, a fine of $100 a day will accrue. Until compliance is met, also order that the cost of prosecution in the amount of $249.80 be paid to the city within 30 days of the date of my written order. So that'll actually give you a couple more days too, because I don't get those out as soon as I leave here. Those usually come out either Friday or Monday. That order will be in the mail, and that's when that 30-day clock will start.
Thank you, I appreciate
Okay?
it.
Thank you.
Case number 2021-736, Jeremy R. Martineau, owner, location of violation, 1921 12th Street, St. Cloud, Florida.
Good afternoon, Pam Neal, City of St. Cloud Code Enforcement Officer. I am presenting this case for the property located at 1921 12th Street. At this time, I would like to enter into evidence the following items: a copy of the notice of violation sent to the owner, a copy of the notice of violation sent by certified mail to the owner, a copy of the notice of violation with the new date sent to the owner, a copy of another notice of violation with the new date sent to the owner, a copy of the statement of violation notice of hearing sent by certified mail to the owner and posted on the property and City Hall, a copy of the PowerPoint presentation, a copy of the affidavits of postings, the certified mail receipts, a copy of the deed to the property, a copy of the code section in violation, a copy of the cost incurred if the special magistrate finds a respondent in violation in the amount of $262.40. Yes, it is. On March 25th, 2021, while on routine patrol, I noticed a green Dodge truck parked at this location that did not have a current registration tag properly attached to the vehicle. I took 2 photos. On April 1st, a notice of violation was sent to the owner. On April 16th, I went to the location, and the truck was still there with no tag. I took 2 photos. On April 19th, a notice of violation was sent by certified mail to the owner. On May 4th, a reinspection was made, and the truck was still there with no tag. On May 5th, a notice of violation was sent to the owner and posted on the property and City Hall. An affidavit of posting was completed, and I took 3 photos. On May 5th, the owner called me and stated he had an appointment to get the tag for his truck. So on May 28th, I went to the location, and the truck was still there with no tag. On June 1st, I called the owner and left him a message to call me as soon as he could, and I did not hear anything from him. On June 3rd, I went to the location. The truck was still there with no tag. I took a photo. On June 4th, another notice violation was sent to the owner. On July 7th, I went to the location, and the truck was still there with no tag. I took 2 photos. On July 19th, a reinspection was made. The truck was still there with no tag. I took a photo. On July 20th, a statement of violation and notice of hearing was sent by certified mail to the owner, posted on the property and City Hall. An affidavit of posting was completed. I took 2 photos. On August 12th, I went to the location. The truck was still there with no tag. I took 2 photos. On August 17th, I went to the location, and the truck was gone. The respondent is here today. It is the city's recommendation that the respondent be found in violation of an abandoned vehicle. The city would like to also recover the cost incurred in bringing this case before the special magistrate in the amount of $262.40 to be paid within 7 days of the written order of the magistrate as well. And that concludes my presentation.
Respondent?
My name is Roland Martineau. I reside at that location. I am the father of Jeremy Martineau. Unfortunately, due to personal circumstances, he cannot be here. I did personally handle this situation due to circumstances being the way they are. I did have some contact. I did respond. I don't believe you maybe have that record correct, but I do get your call. We spoke several times concerning, and yes, you did. Everything she stated was correct. I had to make arrangements. I did go down to the tag. You know, it takes over 30 days to get an appointment in there. I didn't have the appropriate paperwork. That fell through. I had to make arrangements for storage for the vehicle, towing the vehicle, which I did, and that is taken care of. That is basically what the case is at this point. I do request due to hardships at this present time that I do not be fined for it. There are some other issues with the other area as well. There are other vehicles there that are also untagged that do not belong to me, not on my property, but very close to, that have not been addressed. I felt that was a little biased, and I'm not asking for that to be taken care of or necessarily to have that any part of the case, other than I felt it was unfairly presented, and due to the circumstances, that is the case that I present before you.
Okay. So the city has not requested a fine, and you heard me talk about the cost portion earlier. That's not a fine, it's not a penalty. It is a recoupment of the cost the city incurs in prosecution, so that the cost of code enforcement is not borne by the people who aren't getting hauled into code enforcement. And on your other properties have vehicles, I can tell you from my perspective, we have meetings pretty much every month. Every month, there is an abandoned vehicle, disabled vehicle case on the agenda, at least one, sometimes multiple. So trust me when I say you are not the only person who has gotten, or your son is not the
Right.
only person who has gotten.
Well, it's
this
not
kind
an
of
abandoned
violation.
vehicle either. That was part of the, I wasn't aware of the interpretation of the language. It has been worked on. It was not tagged.
Understood.
So I do see that as the violation. I understand that.
And in the city's code, if it does not have a tag on it, the city's code deems that to be an abandoned vehicle.
Okay.
That's why that registration becomes so important.
And I'm in agreement with that. I have no issue with that.
I understand,
Legislative-
I'm talking to you, try to help you understand the
Right.
process.
Well, that's
not
why I'm
arguing
here
with
also,
you,
is
and
to
I've heard
understand
you
what
have to say, and I
circumstances
respect
are,
what
so
you
we
have
don't
to
end
say.
up in this situation once again.
So as to the cost, though, and you have stated a hardship, and I see it. You know, there's something going on, and you don't have to talk about that. So you heard me say earlier, it's going to get paid eventually. The question for me is, how much time do you need to pay, or does your son need to pay, whoever it is who's going
Well,
to
I
pay
will pay
that?
this personally out of my pocket.
How much time do you need to pay that out of your
and
pocket?
Actually, if, what is it, 7 days, I'll take care of that within the next day, to be honest with you. My issue more is on the fine-wise.
Not issuing
If I
any
do
fines,
have
Dave, and
another.
they're not asking for any.
Okay, because if for some reason I fall in violation, unknowing or not know, or knowing, in either case, I didn't want that fine to end up being an issue, because it was kind of aggressively approached, I believe. My mother also resides there, and created some stress with her, and she was under the fear that we were going to get further financial burden. And the way it's written, it states that another fine would cost me $500 as opposed to the $250 if I ended up in some other form of violation. So
No fines have been requested today, and actually, again, a little bit of education here. In code enforcement, the first time that you appear in front of a code enforcement board or a special magistrate, unless it's an immediate threat to health, safety, welfare, we do not issue fines. The statute requires us to give reasonable time to cure. You've come in today, the violation has already been cured, so we're not even there. So fines aren't anywhere near the table.
Okay.
But,
there is a cost factor that
no,
incurred in order
no,
to pursue
I've
it.
moved past that. This is
Right.
education.
Yes.
If you appear before me again, if they have
Mm-hmm.
to prosecute another case for this same violation, it's a repeat violation. And then I can impose fines from that first hearing. And I can even go back to the date they first saw it, and they can. And this is, I think, the number you were reading somewhere. Those fines can be up to $500 a day. So it's very important that it not happen again.
Right. Well, that's what I'm understanding, but again, I mean, you
No
know more
fines.
than I do how many laws are passed regularly. I'm not that educated of an individual. So it could very easily fall into violation without knowing. So,
Keep an
and,
eye
you know,
on
at
it.
times, yeah.
And
Well, I mean, as far as the tag in that vehicle, that's not a problem. It's being restored. That was part of the time issue going on, but unfortunately, due to circumstances, it could not get addressed as quickly as I was hoping it would be. So it has been removed from the property, and now I'm paying storage fees for that until I can get that squared away.
keep an eye on
So-
it. Don't let it happen again. I will
Yeah,
say that the ladies in code enforcement, I've heard people say that, you know, they seemed really aggressive. They do their jobs and they do it well. I've never seen a case that appeared to me to be personal, but I'll also say on this, if that property falls into violation, I bet you get a phone call before they write you up. But if you get that phone call, react. Don't wait a
Right.
day, don't wait a week, react. Because they try really hard to help people.
Well, it has been an issue that I've been addressing with it through on through. And there are some other issues of safety that are involved, and I don't know whether I speak with them afterwards or what. There's stones in the corner of that skirting that comes through, you know the area. So they come through from the car wash, Hungry Howie's. There's a lot of traffic on that block. It's all commercial. I'm the only residential on that. And there's quarter-stone stones that come up and hit these vehicles that are where that parking lot is. Another reason why the exterior of these vehicles have not been addressed at this point, because that hasn't been resolved. So that's just, I mean, I don't know if I discuss that with them later about the other issues.
Nothing I can do about it
Nothing
now.
we can do. That's what I needed to know. I wasn't sure what
The
this.
case before me today is the
Okay.
vehicle, so that's
Okay.
what. And unless you have anything else, I'll go ahead and.
No, that's.
I've already talked around it. My ruling is I am going to find in favor of the city, find the evidence and testimony supports the finding of violation, find the property was in violation, that the violation has now been cured, but it was cured after the time set, the notice of violation for cure. No fines are being entered. The respondent is ordered to pay the administrative costs incurred by the city, and that amount of $221.90 be paid within 7 days of the date of my written order. So the date that I signed that order, like you heard me say earlier.
Yeah, yes.
Case number 2021
Thank you very much.
dash
you, sir.
802, Lauren Shepherd and Kenneth L. Boston III, owner, location of violation 1740 East Clinton Drive, St. Cloud, Florida.
Good afternoon. Alex Miller, Code Enforcement Officer for the City of St. Cloud. I'm presenting the case for the property located at 1740 East Clinton Drive. At this time, I would like to enter into evidence the following items: copy of the courtesy notice sent by regular mail, copy of the notice of violation sent by regular mail, copy of the notice of violation sent by certified mail, copy of the notice of violation sent by regular mail posted at the property and City Hall, copy of the statement of violation and notice of hearing sent by certified mail posted at the property and City Hall, affidavit of postings, copy of the PowerPoint presentation, evidence on mailings, copy of the sections in violation, and a copy to the deed to the property, and a copy of the cost incurred if the magistrate finds the respondent in violation in the amount of $221.90, and the respondent is not here.
So you are the fence case specialist now, right?
Now, on April 7, 2021, during routine patrol, I observed a fence was installed at this location, and I verified that a permit was not obtained prior to installing the fence. A courtesy notice by regular mail was sent to the owners on record to correct the violation within 7 working days. On April 26, a re-inspection was performed and verified that the property was still in violation. A notice of violation by regular mail was sent to the owners on record to correct the violation within 7 working days. On May 12, a re-inspection was performed and verified that there was no permit application on record. A notice of violation by certified was sent to the owners on record to correct the violation within 7 working days. On June 3rd, a re-inspection was performed and verified that there was no permit application on record. A notice of violation by regular mail was sent to the owners on record to correct the violation within 7 working days, posted the property in City Hall, an affidavit of posting was created, and 3 photos were taken. On June 17, I verified that an application has been submitted. On June 11, I placed the case on hold to allow the proper review by the different departments. On July 6, I verified that the permit application has not been issued, and it was waiting for the owner to submit a notice of commencement and an easement agreement in order for the permit to be issued. I called the owner and left a message explaining the additional documents are still required before the permit can be issued, and I did not get a call back. On July 9, I verified that the documents needed were not provided and the permit was not issued. A statement of violation and notice of hearing was sent to the owners, posted the property in City Hall, an affidavit of posting was created, and 3 photos were taken. On July 13, I verified that the permit was issued and the property is now in compliance. It is the city's recommendation that the respondent be found in violation of not obtaining a permit for the fence that was installed at this location by the time specified. The city will also request that the cost incurred in bringing this case before the magistrate in the amount of $221.90 to be paid within 7 days of the written order by the special magistrate. And this concludes my presentation.
And no respondent present, right?
No.
So based on the evidence testimony received, I find in favor of the city, find that there was a violation for installation of the fence without a permit, find that the violation was cured prior to the hearing, but after the time set, the notice of violation for cure, order the respondent to pay the administrative costs incurred by the city in the amount of $221.90, which amount shall be due within 7 days of the date of my written order.
Case number 2021-1257, Susan J. Sayabun Dwyer and Joseph Dwyer, owner, location of violation 5080 Preserve Boulevard, St. Cloud, Florida.
Sorry, it's me again, and this is not a fence. At this time, I would like to enter into evidence the following items for the property located at 5080 Preserve Boulevard. A Copy of the notice of violation sent by certified mail, posted at the property in City Hall. Copy of the statement of violation and notice of hearing sent by certified mail, posted at the property in City Hall. Copy of the PowerPoint presentation, affidavit of postings, evidence of mailings, copy of the sections in violation, a copy of the deed to the property, and a copy of the cost incurred if the magistrate finds the respondent in violation in the amount of $226.90. And the respondent is not here.
Have you heard anything from the respondent?
No, no, sir. On July 20, 2021, during routine patrol, I observed the police screen enclosure was not being properly maintained and was not providing a safety barrier around the in-ground pool. I tried to make contact with the owners in person while at the residence, but no one answered the door. I also tried to make contact by phone and left a message, but I did not get a call back. On July 20, a notice of violation by certified mail was sent to the owners to correct the violation within 10 working days, posted the property in City Hall, did an affidavit of posting, and 4 photos were taken. On August 3rd, a reinspection was performed and verified that the property was still in violation, and 2 photos were taken. On August 4th, a statement of violation and notice of hearing by certified mail was sent to the owners, posted the property in City Hall, did an affidavit of posting, and 3 photos were taken. On August 16, a reinspection was performed and verified that the violations were not corrected and the property is still in violation. 2 photos were taken. It is the city's recommendation that the respondent be found in violation of allowing the screen enclosure around the pool to not be properly maintained and in good repair in order to provide a safety barrier around the pool. The city will recommend that the respondent be given until August 31st, 2021, to fix the pool screen enclosure and provide appropriate barrier for the in-ground pool, or a fine on them in the amount of $150 a day be assessed until compliance is met. The city will also request that the costs incurred in bringing this case before the magistrate in the amount of $226.90 to be paid within 7 days of the written order by the special magistrate. This concludes my presentation.
Can you go to your photograph 816, the first one that shows the pool enclosure? That one, stop there. I just want to make sure I understand where it's open. So here on the far left frame, that's why that panel is empty, right? There's a panel below, but the middle panel or top panel is empty, right? There's no screen there.
Yes.
And then obviously where there's construction barrier, I'm assuming there's no screen there.
No.
Down to the ground.
Correct.
And also, am I perceiving the picture accurately that there's just no screen at all in any of those panels?
Correct.
Then
Yes,
not
sir.
on top, not on the bottom.
Yes, sir. And not on the roof either.
In your opinion, as code enforcement officer, does this present an immediate threat to health, safety, welfare, public health, safety, welfare?
Yes, it is dangerous because, I mean, this is supposed to be just a temporary fencing, and he's not replacing the temporary fence is wearing out, and it might be ripped up, and somebody might go in there. So, yes, somebody can go in there.
Are you aware? Is there an active permit for? Is this a new screen enclosure?
No, sir. There was a permit for the screen enclosure. It's just they're not maintaining it.
So at some point it did have screens in it?
Yes, sir. At some point it did.
It takes a lot of work to take the screens off. They've obviously put effort into removing the screen.
Yeah.
Based on the evidence and testimony received, I find in favor of the city, find that there is a violation for failure to maintain the screen enclosure and to provide a barrier to the in-ground pool. I will find that that is an immediate threat to public health, safety, welfare, and in the event the city deems it necessary to present this to the city council and to take action to cure the violation by its own powers, I will include reference to that in my order. As to the recommended daily fine, if not brought into compliance by August 31, 2021, I'm actually going to go ahead and put that at the maximum of $250 per day, given the nature of the violation. So I will order that the violation be cured by the respondent by August 31, 2021, and if not cured, a fine in the amount of $250 per day. Also making the finding that this is an immediate threat to public health, safety, welfare, and if the city deems it necessary to take measures to cure the violation, those costs would be recoverable by the city from the respondent also. And will order the respondent to pay the administrative costs incurred by the city in prosecution in the amount of $226.90, which amount will be due 7 days from the date of my written order.
Thank you.
Case number 2021-1494, Progress Residential Borrower 7 LLC owner, location of violation 3320 Kelsey Lane, St. Cloud, Florida.
I'm presenting the case for the property located at 3320 Kelsey Lane. And at this time, I would like to enter into evidence the following items. Copy of the notice of violation sent by certified mail, posted at the property in City Hall. Copy of the statement of violation and notice of hearing sent by certified mail, posted at the property in City Hall. Copy of the PowerPoint presentation, affidavit of postings, evidence of mailings, copy of the sections in violation, and a copy of the deed to the property. Copy of the cost incurred. The magistrate finds the responding in violation in the amount of $294.70. The respondent is not here. Excuse me. On July 1st, 2021, Code Enforcement received a complaint from Lieutenant Wessler with the St. Cloud Police Department concerning the Divine Hope Independent Adult Living Facility that has been operating at this location since May 28, 2021. Furthermore, he was concerned with how many times the police has been dispatched to aid the adults housed at this location that were left unsupervised. These adults were ranging with issues of schizophrenia with narcissistic rage to mood disorders. Upon further research, I verified that a business tax receipt license and a certificate of use license and the proper authorization from the Planning and Zoning Department were not obtained for this type of facility to be operating at this residential location. I made contact with the owner of the Divine Hope Independent Adult Living Facility and requested that she contact the Planning and Zoning Department to obtain the requirements in order to operate the adult living facility at this residential location. She stated that she will contact them as soon as possible. On July 2nd, 2021, a notice of violation by certified mail was sent to the owner, tenant, and registered agent to correct the violation within 7 working days. I posted the property in City Hall, did an affidavit of posting, and 2 photos were taken. On July 7, I made contact with Ellen with Progress Residential and advised her about the violations. She requested a copy of the letter to be sent by email and stated that she will forward the letter to the property manager in charge of that location. On July 8th, I received an email from Ellen with Progress Residential stating that Ronette with Progress Residential was working on correcting the violations. On July 13th, I made contact with Ronette with Progress Residential and again explained the violations that needed to be corrected. She requested additional time to send a 7-day letter to the tenant to cure the violation. The extension was provided in order for the property to come in compliance. On July 26th, I received an email from Ronette with Progress Residential stating that the violation appears to be corrected. I went to the property and verified that Divine Hope Independent Adult Living Facility was still in business and that, in fact, 2 new residents were brought in to live at this property. A statement of violation and notice of hearing was sent by certified mail to the owner, tenant, and registered agent, posted the property in City Hall, did an affidavit of posting, and 2 photos were taken. On July 27, an email was sent to Ronette with Progress Residential advising her that the violations were not corrected and the property was still in violation. On July 28, I received an email from Ronette with Progress Residential stating that while she was posting the property with a notice of entry, She observed that the adults were being removed by ambulance. She was also advised by the business owner that all the adults will be removed from the residential location the same day. I was also advised that on July 29, Progress Residential had scheduled an exterior inspection of the property. And on August 5th, an inspection was performed by the fire marshal, the owner, and I to verify that the adults were removed from the property. The owner of Divine Hope Independent Living was present and was advised that the case will be closed, but it will be presented to the magistrate for a finding. And it is the city's recommendation that the respondent be found in violation of allowing an adult living facility to operate prior to obtaining a business tax receipt license, a certificate of use license, and not obtaining the proper approval from the Planning and Zoning Department for this specific use by the time specified. The city will also request that the cost incurred in bringing this case before the magistrate in the amount of $294.70 to be paid within 7 days of the written order by the special magistrate. Thank you.
Thank you. Based on the evidence and testimony received, I'll find in favor of the city, find that the respondent was in violation for allowing the, what did you call it, adult
Adult living facility.
living facility
Yes, sir.
on the property without proper zoning approvals, appropriate business tax receipt, or appropriate certificate of use license. Find the violation was cured prior to the hearing, but after the date set in the notice of violation for cure, will order the respondent to pay the city's administrative costs. And I'm gonna set that cost amount at $292.70. That's the number in your
Yes.
ledger.
Yes, sir.
And so I always check that, and if that deviates from the request, I always rely on the ledger. So I'll go with
That's
your
fine, sir.
ledger, and that's $292.70. And that amount to be paid within 7 days of the date of my written order.
Thank you.
Case number 2021-1573, MJ Rental 1 LLC owner, location of violation 1883 Green Dragon Drive, St. Cloud, Florida.
Melissa Howells. Okay, at this time, I would like to enter into evidence the following items: a copy of the notice of violation sent by regular mail, copy of the notice of violation sent by certified mail, posted on the property and City Hall, copy of the statement of violation and notice of hearing sent by certified mail, posted on the property and City Hall, copy of the PowerPoint presentation, affidavit of postings, evidence of mailings, the code sections in violation of, copy of the deed to the property, and a copy of the cost incurred if the magistrate finds the respondent in violation in the amount of $241.80, and the respondent is not here. On July 12, 2021, during routine patrol, I observed high grass and weeds at this location. On July 13th, I sent out notice of violations to the owner of record and the property and the president of the corporation at the principal mailing address to correct this violation within 7 working days. On July 22nd, a reinspection was performed, and it appears as though the next-door neighbor had cut the side yard next to them and a portion of the front yard, but the other side and rear yard was very high. Upon returning to the office, I called the number on file in the utility records and left a message for the company to call me by the end of the day, or I would be posting the property. At the end of the day, I had not heard back from them, so I created notice of violations, mailed them by certified mail, and Officer Miller would be posting the property in City Hall for me on July 23rd due to me leaving town. On July 23rd, Officer Miller posted the property and City Hall with the notice I created, did an affidavit of posting, and took 12 photos. On August the 3rd, I checked the property and the violation had not been corrected, and there was still no response from the owner. On August 4th, I sent out a statement of violation and notice of hearing by certified mail to the owner of record, the property, and the president of the corporation at the president's principal mailing address. I posted the property on City Hall. I did an affidavit of posting and took 7 photos. On August 16th, a reinspection was performed and the grass had not been cut. 4 photos were taken. You can kind of barely see the top of the fire hydrant right there on the left-hand side. It was used in the first photo. It is the city's recommendation that the respondent be found in violation of having high grass and weeds over a height of 8 inches by the time specified at this location. I would like to give to the respondent until August 25th, 2021 to correct this violation, or a fine in the amount of $100 a day be assessed until compliance is met. The city would also request the cost incurred in bringing this case before the magistrate in the amount of $241.80 be paid within 7 days of the written order by the special magistrate. And that concludes my presentation.
And you still haven't heard anything from the respondent?
Nothing.
And is that property is there anybody residing there?
I can't verify either way. It's in their name, the company's name in the water records. I have not seen one vehicle there, not one light on. I can't see inside any of the windows, so I don't know if anybody's living there, but I'm assuming because the neighbor mowed a portion of the front yard even, that maybe, you know, they hadn't seen anybody either. They just didn't want everything coming over on their property.
Given the height of the grass now, the complete lack of response from respondent, and the fact that grass is going to keep getting higher,
Yeah.
does the city have any objection to me doubling that amount and saying $200 a day?
No, sir. No, because when the time is up, I will be posting it with a 7-day lot clearing notice, because we'll have to cure the violation. And I can even cut that time down, I think, to 5 calendar days if I need to.
Yeah, yep, it sounds like you're going to have to.
Yeah.
But given the evidence testimony received, I will find in favor of the city and find the respondent is in violation for overgrown grass and weeds. Order the respondent to cure the violation by August 25th, 2021. If not cured within that time, I'm going to order a fine in the amount of $200 a day, and that's based on the condition of the grass as it is now, which is very overgrown and
Yeah.
no attention being paid to this property whatsoever. Also order the respondent to pay the administrative costs incurred by the city in the amount of $241.80, which amount shall be due within 7 days of the date of my written order.
Thank you, sir.
Case number 2021-1664, Maria M. Ramirez Estates owner, location of violation 908 Robinson Avenue, St. Cloud, Florida.
Good afternoon, Diana Durbin, City of St. Cloud Code Enforcement Officer for the City of St. Cloud. I'm presenting the case for the property located at 908 Robinson Avenue. At this time, I would like to enter into evidence a copy of notice of violation sent by certified mail and posted on the property in City Hall, a copy of the statement of violation and notice of hearing sent by certified mail, posted on the property in City Hall, copy of the PowerPoint presentation, affidavit of postings, evidence of mailings, the code sections in violation of, a copy of the deed of the property, and a copy of the costs incurred if the magistrate finds the respondent in violation in the amount of $204.40. On July 23, 2021, during routine patrol, I observed high grass and weeds at this location. I was advised by Supervisor Sparkman that the owner had just passed away, and she personally knew the daughter, and she contacted the daughter, advising her the grass was high, and she advised she was not going to cut the grass. I issued a notice of violation by certified mail and posted the property in City Hall. An affidavit of posting was completed, giving them 7 working days to come into compliance. 2 photos were taken. On August 16th, a reinspection was completed and the location was still not in compliance. 4 photos were taken. It is the city's recommendation that the respondent be found in violation of failure to prohibit, rather allow, grass and weeds be over the height of 8 inches at this location. I am giving the respondent until August 31st, 2021 to come into compliance or pay a fine of $100 a day until compliance is met. The city would also request that the costs incurred in bringing this case before the magistrate in the amount of $204.40 be paid within 7 days of the written order of the special magistrate. This completes my presentation.
Just so I understand something that you testified to, so the daughter said that the daughter has no intention of cutting the grass.
Yes.
And I asked the same question I asked in the last case. This is significantly overgrown.
Yes.
I have at least
Yeah, we-
representative of the estate who is saying not going to take care of it. I'm inclined to double that amount to $200 a day.
Okay.
Any objection from the city?
Yeah, no objection.
Okay. Then, based on the evidence testimony received, I'll find in favor of the city, find the respondent is in violation for overgrown grass in the subject property. Order the respondent to cure the violation by August 31st, 2021. If not cured within that time, a fine in the amount of $200 per day shall run for every day the property remains in non-compliance, in violation until compliance is met. Also order the respondent to pay the administrative costs incurred by the city in the amount of $204.40, which amount shall be due within 7 days of my written order.
Unfinished business, none. Next scheduled meeting, September 15th, 2021.
Anything else from the city? Sure. Well, that was done very efficiently, everybody. Thank you.